Good afternoon to all. The next speaker of the day is Mr. Venguswamy Ramaswamy, Global Head, ION, TCS. Venguswamy globally heads the TCS's small and medium business. A strategic unit of TCS that provides end-to-end business consulting to the SMB group. In his previous role, he was director of TCS's global consulting practice and was instrumental in the structural formation, development, and positioning of TCS's consulting offerings. During his 16-year tenure at TCS, Swami has held several strategic positions, including managing key customer relationships, building and heading the process consulting group, managing the corporate resource management function, leading numerous centers of excellence, as well as launching TCS's first steps in geographies such as Hungary and China. Today, Mr. Venguswamy will talk about how Indian SMBs can transform themselves into the cloud. May I please request Mr. Venguswamy to join me on stage.
Good afternoon to all of you. So I was told that if you are working as part of cloud or SMBs or transformation, you are in any one of the conference every week. And that's the rule looks like. These topics are being talked a lot. What I will do is I'll try to bring in a layman perspective to how these solutions can be used to transform small and medium business companies. Just for a sake of understanding, if any small business entrepreneurs in this crowd, can you raise your hand? Are there any small and medium business entrepreneurs? Okay, so I have few hands. Let me try to give you a perspective of how the small and medium businesses can take the help of cloud to transform themselves. So that's going to be the topic. But before I talk about that, I was questioning myself, asking myself, is there something very unique about small and medium businesses, particularly the Indian small and medium businesses? Few years back, I went on a Bharat Darshan trip, multiple cities within the country, to talk to a large number of small and medium business entrepreneurs. If you are an entrepreneur, you will relate to this very, very easily. So I used to go to them and ask this question, so what do you do for your technology requirements? Coming from TCS, you can expect that to be the first question. And these entrepreneurs enthusiastically tell me, you know something, we have 15 computers in our workshop. Typically, entrepreneurs map technology to having computers. And even today, many of the surveys that happens which tries to understand the technology penetration, tries to understand the PC penetration in this country, which you are all aware of, right? So this entrepreneur tells very enthusiastically that I have 15 computers in my office. So I ask them, so what do you do with these computers? And most of them tell me, you know what, for the last 1 year, we don't use floppies anymore. They are all connected computers. And you have to relate to this because these are entrepreneurs in places like Ludhiana, Surat, Ambala, Nagpur, Tirupur, Coimbatore, and all of these places. So I said, wow, so you have computers and you have connected computers. So what do you do with them? And slowly they start talking about having an accounting package, having a set of office solutions. Some will take the liberty to say that their entire purchasing department has been completely digitized and automated. And so when I kind of try to understand, it is all the purchase orders are there in the Word documents, and it is no longer in the paper form. And that's digitization. And this may sound a little exaggerated, but it is no different when you go to tier 2 and tier 3 cities of this country. So I asked some of them, so what kind of challenges do you guys face in being an entrepreneur, in leveraging technology as part of your business? And the true advantage we all carry coming from Tatas and TCS, you can definitely have a cup of coffee with him and ask him a few more questions. And then he starts pouring out. He says, 6 months back, I had a virus attack. So what did you do? So I called this local guy who came and said, it is because we have not installed antivirus program. So what should we do? He said, if we can put an antivirus in all our PCs, we can stop this. So I asked him how much it costs. He said 600 rupees. So I said, okay, go ahead and put it. And he puts antivirus. Some of the sites that we used to access becomes very, very slow. So we call him again, and he says it is because the firewall is stopping these sites to be accessed. First of all, this guy asks, what is fire, what is wall? And then he goes on to say that we have to upgrade your firewall, but unfortunately you are running on a very old operating system. So first we have to upgrade your operating system. So he says, okay, go ahead and upgrade my operating system. He puts the new ones, Windows 7 or Vista and all of them. On the old PC, it becomes much more slow. Now he says it is because the memory is very, very low. And this entrepreneur, I remember from Coimbatore, said repeatedly this guy is saying RAM is slow, RAM is slow. I only know RAM, I don't know what is this RAM is all about. Right? And then finally he convinces him to upgrade the operating system. It becomes very slow. Then he says, you know what, it is because the PC is having a very small memory. You change your PC itself. And finally he ends up changing his PC. Now the first guy who sold the antivirus is back again, because he says this is a new PC, I have to install it again. So these entrepreneurs are asking, should I run my business or should I use technology and not run my business? Right? Could be an exaggeration, but trust me, the state of entrepreneurs, small and medium business entrepreneurs in many of these smaller cities is no different than what I articulated. So is this unique for an Indian SMB? I don't know. But today's plight of these Indian SMBs, the processes evolve. Many of them are not able to go beyond a 100 crore mark or a 200 crore mark. They start stagnating. Most of them are brilliant people, and they have most of their numbers on their head. The processes evolve, not able to control it. Multiple vendors, the hardware guy says the problem is because of the network. The network guy says, I think you should call your software guy and ask everything is fine in your network. The software guy says, I can tell you it is because the RAM is low, you have to upgrade your RAM itself. So multiple sets of vendors, and he doesn't know whom to point to and how to get the support. And unfortunately, we as TCS, being large IT company, not able to leave any credible IT talent with any of the other companies, because last year we hired 70,000 people in the company. That's a very large number. That does not leave much talent pool in the country as well. What's the cause? Lack of integration. The entrepreneur tells me, I know for sure this report is wrong. It's coming from his system. He has got so much of confidence because the customer systems are different, the sales systems are different, they don't talk with each other. And he seems to be knowing much more than the system itself. Lot of softwares without support, outages pointing to someone else. Clearly the cost, heavy IT department in some instances, the set of people lying there, the total cost of ownership being very, very high. And IT is definitely not a problem for some of these entrepreneurs, it's more of a problem. And all of them, when they try to fix it, it costs a lot and it starts hitting their working capital itself. So this is a very short description of the entrepreneur, of the Indian small and medium business entrepreneur. If that is the case, and if he has to transform, we started thinking about it, and we put together 5 simple rules that can potentially drive a transformation in a small and medium business companies. These are very simple rules, may be useful for some of the entrepreneurs here from a technology perspective. Technology is not real estate, so it makes a lot more sense to rent it than own it. Because if it is a real estate, and at least I come from Bombay, every year it increases, and I'm sure that it's the same everywhere else, whereas any hardware that I buy, you know the state of the hardware after 2 years, right? Select fit for purpose IT solutions versus scale down large solutions. Everybody thinks I can buy an elephant and squeeze it to be a mouse. It doesn't happen that way, right? When the processes are very heavy, it really doesn't help your business particularly the small and medium businesses. And SMBs needs are very, very unique, and it's fascinating. They can come in the morning and change the HR policy upside down. Because there are 50 people in the company, what does it make to change their HR policy itself, right? Build as you grow, pay as you use, is a common term that is being used these days. Fundamentally, because there is a huge amount of unused solution which is lying in their organization for which they pay for it, and most of them are bought in a capex based model, and the provider has collected the money. He is not worried whether the small and medium business entrepreneurs are using the solution or not. Look for integrated IT. More important to understand is smaller packages are good, but as we grow the smaller packages, they all need to get integrated by itself. And that's very important, otherwise you will have a lot of data lying all around the place. The last one, ensure that the solutions are constantly configurable. If there is one very important competency that small and medium business entrepreneurs have, ability that have, is the agility. They can come and change anything on any day. By putting systems, we don't want to constrain them by making these changes. These are very simple rules. Two things we spoke. We spoke on SMBs, we spoke on transformation. The rules for transformation. Now, what is transformation for small and medium businesses? I'm sure all of you know, if an entrepreneur has got a very good visibility for himself, he can run the business very well. And that's the reason you will see many small entrepreneurs who are running a single shop or who are running a single workshop or a single manufacturing plant are more successful than multi-plants. Why? Because their ability to have a span of control on multiple workshops reduces dramatically when it is in multiple locations, right? So business visibility becomes a very critical aspect for bringing in transformation in the small and medium businesses. Now, what is business visibility? I can have two kinds of visibility. One, I can have a control visibility, right? I can tell any purchase order more than 2 lakhs requires my approval. I am the MD of the company, and any purchase order that goes out of my business requires my approval, right? Clearly, he can control the business very well. Is it good? Obviously, it is good for him, but if he is going to generate 100 purchase orders every day, it is not good for him because his business is going to wait for his signature forever, right? So it is good for some businesses. So control is one way by which he can get visibility. The other way is to get visibility through decision support systems or dashboards or whatever we want to call that as, right? Dashboards are good, but the problem with dashboards, it is a lag measure. It happens, or you see the transactions, an entrepreneur sees the transactions after it has happened. If he is going to review all purchase orders which is more than 1 lakh of rupees, then he is reviewing it after the purchase orders are gone out of his office. That's a problem with dashboards, or that's a problem with decision support systems. Are they bad? Obviously they are not bad. Now these two are linkages. Good businesses balance this. Now how do they balance workflows, or how do they balance the control? They put constraints, they put processes and structures as part of the constraints, and then manage it. How do they manage the dashboards on the other side? They bring in events or notifications, thereby when something happens, obviously you are being notified post the event, but exceptions and opportunities becomes alerts for him so that he can manage it effectively. Now good businesses that want to do transformation need to balance between these two. Clearly, if they want to do it, they put roles in the organization and say CFOs can approve up to this one. What does it mean? They put a role, they put an authority for that role, and they put a threshold for that role, right? CFO could be a role, authority could be approval, and the threshold could be 2 lakhs of rupees. And that's what they manage workflows, right? Not a bad idea, can be done, right? And they continue to do the business activities, they do transactions. Now, when they see the transactions on the dashboard, they start defining the business policy itself and start changing it. The challenge here is the business policy driving the business activity, or is the business activity driving the business policy? That's the challenge, right? And one has to manage these two very effectively. So what did TCS do on this? One, we set the principles of management by control. You can deploy constraints, you can have a system to involve your delegates, right, or involve your employees, intervene in transactions. In the case of management by exception, you empower the employees in your organization, wait for the reports to tell you what really went wrong or what are the opportunities that are there in that. So let me give you a very quick understanding of what we did on this. One, we integrated all the layers of technology together in a service model, whether it is hardware, whether it is network, whether it is common office related applications like a document management system or an online website or an email, all of them we integrated together, right? Then you have the set of business layer which really help you to run the business. Could be a CRM, could be a finance and accounting solution, could be a payroll solution, and all of them. Then you have the core domain, could be different industry verticals, like a manufacturing will have a procure to pay, order to cash, bill of material, costing, and all of those kind of models. Whereas retail will have a different set of core solutions. Then you have a set of business services that integrate you and your customers and the external people. And finally, the core of it is the business set of analytics. So what did we do? We integrated all of these layers together. We built a standard set of solutions under the brand of ION and brought in an OpEx based model, take the accountability for hardware, network, software, and services all put together. And that's exactly what we did. And we believe that can dramatically change how the small and medium businesses are running today, running their business itself. And all of them are running on the cloud itself. Probably that is the reason why I'm here today. Okay. Now, if I can quickly map and then leave the floor to all of you, the principles of management by control, we have put a flexi workflow which can help the entrepreneurs to make a decision on how they want to run the business, what they want to control, what they don't want to control. So that's on the front end for them, right? Then we have put a set of self-services which can be as simple as apply for a loan or as simple as approve a purchase order. A bunch of self-services defined by the roles, defined by the authority, and defined by the threshold one can have for it. Then we put a set of auto documents which makes automation much more easier. Finally, we also integrated with some of the tools which these entrepreneurs are very comfortable using it. I'm sure many of the entrepreneurs in this country use these widgets in iGoogle, right? Which is showing a weather, which is showing a IPL match on another window and so on and so forth. If we can put another widget there which shows the list of purchase orders they need to approve, it makes it much more easier for them. They don't have to log into any system. On the management by exception side, we put a set of on-demand reports. These are all self-designed reports based on what the business parameters are. We put a set of applications on the mobile which can give them the alerts, which can give them the notifications of any events or opportunities for them. We put a set of predefined or pre-configured reports that gives a high visibility for activities or transactions in the organization itself. And all of them we integrated as part of the service layer itself. This we believe can dramatically change how a small and medium business entrepreneur want to transform themselves. So on the left hand side, in terms of management by control, systems control the entrepreneur in their daily routines. If it is acceptable, they can take it, or we can have they control the system on exceptions itself. That's the ION way itself. Very briefly, that's what I thought we'll share with all of you. If there are any quick questions, I will take it. Otherwise, I'll get down from the floor. Please. Yeah. You are not an entrepreneur, right? Okay. So I will get down and answer this question. Otherwise, some of the entrepreneurs can get scared. But it is okay. There is nothing magical in this. It's all Java-based applications running on a Linux platform. On the cloud, it is 3-tier architecture: Apache, JBoss, and MySQL. That's it. It's a cloud that we have created, and we run this application from our cloud. But I tend to avoid saying these things for an entrepreneur because it complicates things for him. That's the reason I asked, are you an entrepreneur? It's not really a problem for you. But if an entrepreneur can ask me what is the difference between RAM and ROM, this can definitely happen, right? So we want to keep them away from technology as much as possible. Please. Today we have around 300 customers. A large number of the customers are in manufacturing and education space. We do have presence in retail and wellness segment, which is part of the healthcare segment itself. In terms of user base, education users are based on student count. So you will have a very large count in the education and then followed by manufacturing. Okay, yeah, that's a good question. This is like what is the time in your clock, right? So that's how we do things in India. Definitely, we look at organizations that are anywhere between 10 crores in top line to 250 crores in top line. But in terms of people, these are anywhere between 10 people organization to 1500 people organization. In the case of manufacturing, we also use the plant and machinery investment based. Let's not confuse others.
Yeah, I have one question. It's hosted in your private cloud, is that correct?
That is right. It's not a private cloud. I know you all understand the definition. It's being used by all my customers.
Sure. So how do you find SMBs acceptance for sharing their personal business data in a third party?
Good question. Very good question. How much time I have? Can I take a minute?
Yeah, sure,
okay.
sure.
So I'll just take a minute to answer this question. Bangalore in one of the other conference when I was talking, a similar question came. How many of you here know Dr. F.C. Kohli? Okay, some of you know Dr. F.C. Kohli. He is regarded as the father of Indian IT industry. He used to be the deputy chairman of TCS before, and he only said this to me. I asked this question to this individual who asked a very similar question. If I go back 3 decades, my father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and ask him, where do you securely keep all your assets like gold or cash and all of those things? 99.99% of them, it will be at home and probably below the ground, somewhere in the village. I have not seen him in my life, right? But if you go and ask my grandfather, whom I have met and asked this question, where do you keep your assets? He'll say, you know what, most of them at home, but some of them these days the banks start coming and they give lockers. I don't know, I don't want to spend a lot of money, but I keep some of them there, right? If you ask my father, right, where do you keep your jewels? He will say, your mother wants half here, half there. You ask my wife, she says, I don't want to keep anything at home, right? The generation has changed. We believe data kept in our premise is much more safe, but that is a past generation. Today, data kept in a professional's hands are much more safe, because right from the security guard from outside to all the layers of security that we put in, and then there is a leak in Facebook that creates a lot of challenges for all of us here as well. But the reality is, when it is kept in the professional's hands, it is much more safer. Every small and medium business entrepreneur, the moment I tell them this same story, most of them are a convert. They don't get scared so much. And then if you go and ask them, look at State Bank of India, the largest bank in this country, right? The data center of State Bank of India is not held by State Bank of India, it is actually held by TCS. So if a banking operation can believe that the data kept outside the premise is much more safer than data kept inside, we should not be worried at all. Yes, there is some amount of paranoidness, but it will go away in my opinion. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for your patient hearing.
Thank you so much, sir, for those insightful thoughts. We'd like to offer you a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.